This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The true definition of a roller coaster win for your Milwaukee Brewers in front of the home crowd. A walk-off first pitch, no doubter, in the bottom of the ninth for Caleb Durbin. And boy, does that got to feel good. Not only for Caleb, for your Milwaukee Brewers, a 4-3 win over the Padres, 35-30 on the season, a bounce-back victory after a disappointing game on Friday night. Lots to get into, much-needed victory. Still some offensive struggles. We'll talk about that, but late in this game, they kind of corrected that a little bit. And thank you. The Brewers back to playing situational baseball. We'll discuss all of that. We'll get all of your reaction on the program this evening on a Brewers 4-3 win over the Padres. My name is Brandon Snide. As always, thank you for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. You can follow me over on Twitter at Brandon_Snide. And again, wherever you get audio forms of this podcast, you can find this program, Apple, Google, Spotify, all the good stuff. And of course, right here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, drop a thought in the chat. We'll discuss all of it in a much needed Brewers 4-3 win. Let's get real quickly, because your reaction is being poured in a 4-3 win for your Brewers. We're going to get to all of it. Let's get real quick to the scoring summary brought to you tonight by FanDuel. The Padres would get things going in the fourth inning. A Diaz single would score. That would give the Padres a 1-0 lead. Bowers then would respond in the seventh inning with a sac fly to center. Issac Collins would score, tie things up. Then Hoskins, a sac fly in the eighth inning, would give the Brewers a 2-1 lead. And this was a very, very interesting inning for a few different reasons we'll discuss. Collins would then follow up that Rhys Hoskins sac fly to left field with a single to left field of his own. William Contreras would score. Frelick was thrown out at third. Again, this isn't a determining factor of this game, but I was very frustrated watching that play out, because not that I don't trust Trevor McGill, who had a blown save this evening, but I just hate running into outs, especially at third base, and especially in a game where it was a tight game and you had the meat of the order for the Padres coming up, which proved to be costly for the Brewers. They run into that out. They go up into that ninth inning, 3-1. Luis Arias, who just is a pesky guy at the plate, he would double to left field. That would score 2 runs. That would make it 3-3 for your Milwaukee Brewers. And it wasn't long before the Brewers were walking home winners in this one. Let's get to your turning point in a 4-3 Brewers win over the Padres.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I was going to set my timer to see how long that home run there from Caleb Durbin was. I think I got to 7 seconds for the Milwaukee Brewers. The first pitch, no doubter, to left field, 386 feet off of the bat of Caleb Durbin. You and I, every Brewers fan, have been pounding our fists at the table saying we need more out of that left side of the infield. And boy, you know, when you need it the most, Caleb Durbin raises his hand and steps up to the plate and delivers for your Milwaukee Brewers. A very, very up and down game. I mentioned roller coaster at the beginning of this one. Very, very upsetting in certain parts of this game for your Brewers offense. At one point, they had 3 hits, I believe, going into the 7th inning. They got things going into the 8th inning, which when we talk about situational baseball, that's the things that we're talking about. Christian Yelich had a walk. William Contreras with an infield single. Sal Frelick reached on catcher interference. Rhys Hoskins putting the ball in play, creating enough space out on that sac fly to left field to bring in a run. And that's what we've kind of been talking about. If the power bats aren't going to be there, generate these opportunities and take advantage of these opportunities. And that's what the Brewers did in that 8th inning, where they were able to score 2. Issac Collins, once again, how good has Issac Collins? The bench players for your Milwaukee Brewers, the guys coming off the bench, not your everydayers. You guys on the program are everydayers, and thank you as always for making Locked On Brewers part of your day. The Jake Bauers, the Issac Collins, like these are just ball players, man, and they are pivotal. Really, any team that has postseason aspirations, you need players like Issac Collins coming in and doing what he does offensively and defensively. You need a guy like Jake Bauers as well, and that's what you saw tonight. 2 of those guys, big parts of where the Brewers are in this game and had a chance late to put it away. Trevor McGill, I say up and down. Jose Quintana, was pretty good for the most part, only giving up that one run. Brewers offense continued to struggle. They didn't score until the 7th inning. Obviously, they score where it counts at the bottom of the 9th inning off a Caleb Durbin walk-off home run, and you'll take it as the Brewers get another victory in front of the home crowd, now 35-30 on the season, 19-11 at home this year at American Family Field. Let's get to your reaction on the YouTube chat. Nick, our everydayer, player of the game was going to be Jake Bauers for making something happen, but in all capital letters, Durban is the player of the game. Thank God, Cardiac Kids this year. You can't go anywhere else. I think all of us are going to be in agreement, with Caleb Durbin as being the player of the game. I was, before the 9th inning, I have it written down in my notes. It was going to be the Brewers bullpen for me. If the Brewers were able to get the win without having to go to the bottom of the 9th inning, honestly, I was going to go with the Brewers bullpen. Obviously, the Brewers wouldn't have needed a walk-off home run. But I thought Nick Mears today looked much like the Nick Mears that we have seen over the early course of the season. 1 inning pitch, 3 strikeouts. Abner Uribe, I have been saying it for weeks now. He's one of the best relievers in all of baseball. A scoreless inning. He allowed 1 hit. Jared Canning, no hits on 1 innings pitched. Obviously, Trevor McGill, is the dark spot on a very bright, bullpen performance for your Milwaukee Brewers. He blows the save. 1 innings pitched, 2 hits, and 2 earned runs. But nonetheless, that's where I was leaning towards the player of the game. I think all of us can agree that Caleb Durbin is the player of the game. As Jake over on YouTube, Caleb, Murph's boys will not quit. Pat Murphy challenged this team. He challenged this team after the road trip to Cincinnati. He publicly challenged them, not in a bad way, just, when he's talking to the media, directing the things and his expectations for this team going forward. He challenged them. And yesterday's game was frustrating, but this is the thing where we talked about last night, where the message to the team was, you don't fall into the trap that you fell into earlier in the year, right? You have a bad performance. You lose a game 2-0 and an offensive dud, really. I mean, nothing really went well for the Brewers bats on Friday night. But don't fall into the trap and then lose another game and then find yourself slipping back into the standings, because once again, it's a very, very, very tough. Not only is it a tough division, but as we are seeing now, it's a tough National League wildcard race for your Milwaukee Brewers. And they're not even out of the division right now. 5.5 games out of the National League Central. The Cubs aren't, walking away with anything. It's frustrating because over that 8-game winning streak where the Brewers also won 9 out of their last 10, you weren't really able to gain any ground on the Cubs, which was the frustrating part, I guess, if you want to look at something when you win 8 in a row. But nonetheless, you got to play and control what you can control, as the cliche goes. Christian over on YouTube, the offense has me worried they were reverting back to before the winning streak. Tonight they redeemed themselves mostly. Need more production tomorrow. If you're watching the show on YouTube, on today's show, you see the last bullet point I have is situational baseball. This isn't a team, again, guys, not a team that's going to hit, 3 or 4 guys with 25 or more home runs in it, at the end of the year. Are there going to be games where that happens? Sure. We saw it in Philly with 17 runs. This team's ability on offense is dictating for them to get on base and run, put pressure on opposing pitchers, put that pressure on opposing defenses, put the ball in play, situationally score runs when those opportunities are presented to them. And tonight they did that in the 8th inning. That was a very, very Murph ball type inning for your Milwaukee Brewers. Yelich with the walk, Contreras with the infield single, Sal Frelick, his 3rd catcher interference of the year. Get on base however you get on base. It doesn't have to be pretty. I don't care. I just want you to score those runs when those opportunities are there in front of you, especially against a team. I guarantee you, come September, we're going to be looking at the National League wildcard standings. Maybe we're going to be looking at the National League Central standings, but there's a chance we're going to be looking at the wildcard standings, or maybe both, and we're going to be looking at what we did against this team, against the San Diego Padres, because they're going to be in the same running with your Milwaukee Brewers looking for that wild card more than likely. You have to take advantage of those opportunities. The Brewers did it in the 8th inning. I don't love Sal Frelick running into an out at third base, because you never know what could have happened after that, if Sal would have stayed at second or made it to third safely, if that fourth run or that third run in that inning, would have been the difference. And maybe Megill doesn't have a blown save. Maybe he doesn't even finish that ninth inning. Nonetheless, that's a whole nother conversation, because I know a lot of you on the YouTube chat are talking about maybe removing Trevor Megill from the closer role. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, nor do I think it should. Now, a rough performance tonight for Megill, his second blown save of the season, but nonetheless, he's been, pretty good throughout the course of the early season. Kep over on YouTube, I feel like Durbin has been getting some solid contact recently. Unfortunately, it's been right to players. I still notice the tendency to pop a ball up, and he still does need to do some work. I feel like, again, Caleb Durbin is if you had to draw up a player for Pat Murphy to manage and to love and put in the everyday lineup, like Caleb Durbin kind of is that prototypical Murphy type player, right? Scrappy, a hard out at the plate for the most part. I know everybody's going to point to his numbers offensively, and they have not been great. And some of you got on me on the last video about a couple of comments about why isn't nobody calling out this left side of the infield? We all have. We have. Like they need to play better. Tonight is an example of them playing better. Caleb Durbin is the reason this Milwaukee Brewers team is walking home 35-30 and not the other way around. A walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth inning to send the San Diego Padres down in game 2. Now it's a pivotal game 3 tomorrow. You want to end this weekend and this homestand, you want to begin this homestand. You want to end the weekend and begin the homestand on a strong note. So tomorrow is going to be pivotal. But we have been talking about that left side of the infield ad nauseum. Like, they need to be better. Joey Ortiz has to be better. People are talking about why aren't we talking about them enough? We are. They have. What do you want me to talk about? They're not good. Tonight, Caleb Durbin was good. Tonight, Caleb Durbin was the reason this Milwaukee Brewers team won. Outside of you and I listening into the program, there's not a bigger Caleb Durbin fan tonight than Trevor Megill, who blew his second save of the season. Caleb Durbin, 2 for 4 tonight too. So let's hope something starts to get going. When the Brewers were winning, when they had that 8-game winning streak and things were looking really good, the bottom of the order was producing. We need the bottom of the order to produce for your Milwaukee Brewers going forward. Your reaction, your thoughts coming up after this break. We'll get back to what you're thinking, how you're feeling, as well as the things you'll be talking about tomorrow. The program today is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA Finals are in full swing every night, delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and those can't-miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with those player props, performance trends, and the same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You can check FanDuel right now, see what those NBA Finals Game 2 getting set for Sunday. Let's hope that the Indiana Pacers can run out of some magic there, as the over-under might be something you might want to dip your toes into if you are a betting person. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that first $5 bet wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Once again, place that first $5 bet over at FanDuel.com, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets. It's simple, guys. Head to FanDuel.com. The Milwaukee Brewers getting a very much-needed walk-off home run from none other than Caleb Durbin in the bottom of the ninth. He only needed to see one pitch. That was it, ladies and gentlemen. 386 feet later, you and I are celebrating on the Locked On Brewers postcast. And thank you, as always, for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. We greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Lots of reactions still being poured in. Drum, one of our everydayers. Our hitters can't get hot and cold all at the same time. We need each player to get hot and cold at different times of the season. There is a sad part for tonight's game. And I'm not, and what Drum is saying is accurate. We'll get to Drum's comment in a second. The 12-game hit streak, unfortunately, comes to an end for Christian Yelich tonight. And that's okay. Christian Yelich has carried this team. He got this team going over that, the beginning of that 8-game win streak. So that's okay. It's, I guess, the one thing you want to look at for the Milwaukee Brewers in a 4-3 loss outside of the Trevor Megill blown saved. Christian Yelich's hit streak coming to an end. But Drum is right. And it's the consistency within this team. It's the consistency at the plate. It's the approach at the plate. And it's something that I think going forward, especially as your schedule tightens up, that has to become more of a priority for this Milwaukee Brewers offense. And again, we have seen a completely different team. Is it going to happen every game? No, but it needs to happen consistently where you take advantage of those early opportunities within games. It's a completely different outcome because of the way this Milwaukee Brewers team is built. They're built on playing good defense. They're built on pitching good, with your starting pitching and your bullpen. As we saw tonight, I had mentioned it out. They were going to be my players of the game if the Brewers were able to win in the top of the ninth. Nick Mears, Abner Uribe, Jared Koenig, Grant Anderson. I know he didn't have a great game last night, but these guys, Aaron Ashby, the other night, again, three batters, 3 strikeouts, and he's coming late on into the season. These are this is how this team's built, but you've got to take advantage of those early opportunities and really get going early in games when those opportunities do present themselves. Joe on YouTube, just when I thought they couldn't get any dumber, they go and totally redeem themselves. Great line there from Dumb and Dumber. Fantastic. Yeah, when Luis Arias tied it in the top of the ninth, I just kind of tilted my head back and told myself, like, this team finally starts looking a little bit better, especially in that 8th inning where they're generating some runs. The energy in the building is buzzing once again. And Trevor McGill, who's been lights out, it's only a second blown save of the season. He's not going to be perfect. No closer's going to be perfect. But it's like, of course you get the first out rather quickly. There's a ground out at second. You're a step or two late from turning the double play. And then it gives the opportunity for Arias to come to the plate, who just makes contact with everything at the plate and has just been a pesky hitter for opposing pitchers. And that's the story of this game. But, on the backside of it, Caleb Durbin, a guy that you and I have been calling out, Brewers fans, that, hey, you got to step up. You got to be better. He sees one pitch in the bottom of the ninth and sends it 386 feet over the left field fence into the Brewers bullpen, and the Brewers getting the 4-2-3 win, a very, very much needed win, a good bounce back win after an underperformance on Friday night where they lost after having an off day on Thursday and returning home after a tremendous road trip. It was a very, very much needed victory. And I'm going to keep saying much needed victory for quite some time now, because I think our goal is going to be the National League Central focused right now. The Cubs winning this evening. They did lose Friday, but the Brewers still 5.5 games back. You got to keep pace. You got to keep pace within the National League Central. We talked about that, but also within the National League wild card, because it is stacked, and the Brewers aren't out of it, right? If they lose 2 or 3, here or there, go on a little bit of a slump. But if you fall back into a 3, 4, 5, 6 game losing streak like that, that might be it for the Milwaukee Brewers right now in the National League wild card. The Phillies are in front of the Brewers, the Padres are in front of the Brewers, and the San Francisco Giants are in front of the Brewers. The Cardinals also right there, just in front of the Brewers. So it's real early to look at the wild card. But when I say a much needed win, it's because when these other teams are winning and you're able to beat the team that's in front of you, i.e. the San Diego Padres, i.e. the Philadelphia Phillies, who you just beat, those are much needed wins. And that's exactly what the Brewers did tonight with a 4-3 win over the San Diego Padres. One last final comment here from Nick, our everydayer. McGill looks lost. He lost the strike zone after the first batter. Disappointing that it got to that point and had to go to the bottom of the ninth. But this is what good teams do. Instead of seeing a 2-run lead evaporate, which the Brewers saw in the top of the ninth, they were able to quickly rectify that in the bottom of the ninth. They only needed one pitch. It was rather a quick rectification, but nonetheless, the Brewers did exactly what they were supposed to do. That's a good team win. That's picking up the guy at the, off the mound who was, uncharacteristically, surrendered what was a blown save, almost a loss, but for your Milwaukee Brewers, and was able to be picked up by a guy who was also struggling at the plate. So sometimes those things just kind of work out in that fashion. And that's exactly what happened tonight for your Milwaukee Brewers. A 4-3 win over the San Diego Padres, 35-30 on the season. We'll pick it up once again tomorrow. Freddie Peralta on the mound, and the Brewers must go out and win this series. I gave you the reasons why. The things that you'll be talking about tomorrow coming up right after this.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Are you concerned with this Milwaukee Brewers offense? We had talked about it a few times now here in the struggles that we had seen. Is it something you're concerned about as a Milwaukee Brewer fan? You saw a boatload of runs in Philly. You saw an 8-game win streak. We saw 9 out of 10 wins over one part of the season. But then they returned home on Friday, 2-0 loss, only 4 hits. Tonight, up until the 7th, they only had 3 hits. It was a struggle. But then things started to get going. Is that 8th inning for your Milwaukee Brewers hopefully going to be the, let's call it, turning point for the weekend? We'll shorten it a little bit and use a phrase from the show. Is that going to be the turning point from the weekend? Let's hope so, because it's an early Brewer game tomorrow. So you may not wake up and talk about the Brewers' offensive struggles and if things are going to get turned around because of one inning. But maybe that 8th inning, maybe that Caleb Durbin walk-off home run was exactly what this Brewers team needed going forward. Maybe it woke them back up. Maybe the off day on Thursday was a bad thing, for the momentum after they beat the Reds 9-1. Let's hope Caleb Durbin, Jake Bauers, Issac Collins, the 3 main pieces that got that Brewers offense going in the 8th and 9th inning, get this team going forward. Because when this team plays situational baseball and takes advantage of those early opportunities, this is a very, very, very dangerous ball club, the way it is built with that starting pitching, with that relief pitching, as we had talked about, and with that defense scattered throughout the infield and outfield. The Brewers getting a much-needed 4-3 win. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Freddie Peralta on the mound for your Milwaukee Brewers. We'll talk to you soon. As always, it always feels better when the Brewers win, but we say it nonetheless. Win, lose, or draw, it's always go Brewers. Thanks as always, everyone. Thank you for making Locked On Brewers part of your day. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and we will talk to you tomorrow after the Brewers and Padres Game 3. Have a good one.